This monster is eating cucumber. It feels weird to eat and eat. Oh my god! A heartbreaking pain is coming. The monster's toes are gone. The monster is staring at Pink Panther fiercely, but Pink Panther is not afraid of him at all, until the monster flew the Pink Panther to the sky of the city with one finger. At the corner of this city, there is a mysterious bookstore. The bookstore was opened by Mr. Bai. The comic book in the bookcase made Pink Panther's eyes shine. He saw Mr. Bai walking over. He almost put the Pink Panther on the glass and pulled himself down. Pink Panther's operation made Mr. Bai stunned. Like this one. Pink Panther quickly nodded to confirm. Mr. Bai took the opportunity to put the price tag on it. Pink Panther took out a pile of miscellaneous goods from the pocket. Obviously, he didn't have enough money. Let's just say that Mr. Bai is too much. He laughed at Pink Panther loudly. He even had to earn $1 from the Pink Panther's pocket. He took the change in Pink Panther's hand. Mr. Bai gave him a blank picture book. Pink Panther, just this money. You have to watch the comic book and draw it yourself. After closing the store door, Mr. Bai didn't forget to make a face at Pink Panther. Although he didn't buy the comic book he wanted to buy, Pink Panther thought that Mr. Bai's idea was good. Looking at the 2B pencil in his hand, Pink Panther had a wonderful idea. He kept rushing home. After giving himself an automatic drinking water, Pink Panther began to implement his plan. He held a 2B pencil in his hand. A zombie jumped into the picture book. Facing this empty and wild white world, Pink Panther drew the pen in his hand. He wanted to draw a wonderful comic book according to his own ideas, but everything was unexpected. Before Pink Panther turned around, the monster in the comic book broke out of the wall. Looking at this self-deprecating thing, Pink Panther was a little confused. Suddenly, a strange excitement appeared. He didn't care about Pink Panther's surprise. He rushed into the city and started to destroy it. Pink Panther, who was scared and trembling, suddenly understood. Hey, we have 2B in our hands. It's not up to us to draw what we want. Pink Panther, who thought clearly, rushed towards the monster. At this time, the monster had let go of itself. Due to the lack of control, the city became a monster playground. This guy was in a state of panic in the city. When he was tired, he sat down and rested. Coincidentally, a cucumber truck drove by. When the driver saw the monster's self-deprecating face, he was almost scared to death. He got off the car and ran away. The monster didn't chase him. He picked up the cucumber truck on the ground. He was able to eat it. When he was so leisurely, Pink Panther came. Seeing that the monster was so rampant, Pink Panther almost had a cerebral hemorrhage. He picked up the eraser and wiped it. It was a meal. The monster was eating cucumber. The pain was so painful that it was about to speak. Good guy. Pink Panther wiped half of his feet. The monster couldn't stand it. Pink Panther, who thought the pen was in his hand, wanted to be arrogant. Until the next moment, the monster's fingers reached out. In this way, Pink Panther was blown into the air. But Pink Panther reacted at random. With the pen in his hand, Pink Panther turned himself into a Superman. Although a little thin, but not a big problem. When the monster was about to continue eating the cucumber, Pink Panther, who rushed in, turned the cucumber into a stinky sock. Good guy. The stinky sock that hadn't been washed in the past 2 years almost made the monster vomit. The monster was angry. Pink Panther had the pen in his hand, extremely leisurely. Seeing that the monster rushed over, Pink Panther drew a big door slowly. He dug in. Facing the monster chasing him, Pink Panther drew a small ugly face for him directly. Pink Panther, who had the pen in his hand, is now quite arrogant. In the world of comics, having a pen is equivalent to opening a hanger. He dug out from behind the monster. He put a mirror on the ground. When he saw what he looked like now, the monster couldn't stand it either. My god, who is this ugly guy? Facing his own Pink Panther, the monster was about to explode. Seeing that, the Pink Panther was about to run away. The monster chased after him without thinking. But things started to go wrong. He chased from Yang High School to Dishway City. The ice-slippery monster couldn't even stop the car. He got stuck in a snow pile. Of course, the one who made all this happen was Pink Panther. He changed the 1,000-mile ice wind into scorching sun. How could a monster frozen to snow bear this? He was sunburned before he could speak. The new monster couldn't stand the scorching sun. When he was sweating, Pink Panther appeared in the air again. Kind Pink Panther 6. He gave the monster a cup of water in time. The monster didn't have time to thank him. The Pink Panther disappeared again. He kept changing the picture. I knew he wasn't so kind. He turned the land into the ocean. The monster hadn't reacted yet. He fell into the sea in an instant. The monster didn't care about him. Pink Panther's next move was even more cunning. He drew a rope and pulled it gently. There was a whirlpool all over the sea. Good job. He opened the city's drain. It's not that easy to deal with a monster that can't be disposed of. He used all his strength to climb out of the water. He hadn't even stood up yet. Pink Panther 6 followed up again. He had a painting in his hand. Pink Panther gave the monster a slap until the monster appeared again. The monster waist-turned into a cupcake by Pink Panther. The monster wanted to get angry, but he couldn't. The monster fell to the ground. Pink Panther was so cruel. He rushed back to the ground. He prepared a baby car for the monster. He was so humiliated. The monster screamed. His roar shook the ground. He even broke through the paper. He broke through the roof of Pink Panther's house. It's not over yet. With this power, the picture was blown up. It drifted straight to Mr. Bai's bookstore. It seemed to hint at something. Speaking of Pink Panther 6 in the comic world, he was stunned by the roar. When he got up, he found the monster had regained its enormous size again. He held his superhuman equipment in his hand. He watched his superhuman equipment be torn apart by the monster. Pink Panther had no choice. The monster was so humiliated that he was so angry. With a flash of light flashing in the monster's hand, he summoned a mysterious monster helper. Pink Panther was a little panicked, but so far, Mr. Six calmed down slowly. He looked at the brush in his hand and looked at the arrogant monster. Pink Panther had a brush in his hand in the monster's unconfident eyes. He may have learned a few tricks from Monkey. The brush was flashed by Mr. Six's brush. After 3 or 2 solutions, Pink Panther's opponent was the lonely monster. In the ruins of the city, they became each other's ultimate opponents. Pink Panther didn't back down. He won. The monster rushed up with the vibration of the picture book.